All right, good Erev Shabbos, friends. It's Erev Shabbos. We like to learn from my holy Zayda, the Maharal, my Prague. Is this thing working? Phone's acting. We should put on the hat. Look over the Maharal or Yehuda ben Mitzalos. But this car is a little too small for Aryeh hit. So we're learning. Lamer and Haibim. We're in Genesis chapter 32, verse 4. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. And Jacob sent, as we said before, Malachim. I don't really want to translate that word Malachim because it's ambiguous. It could either mean and Jacob sent messengers or and Jacob sent angels. And Rashi tells us something that doesn't really, at face value, solve our problem, because he says Malachim Mamish. He says literally Malachim. Actually Malachim, I think. It may even be better than literally. Because Mamashis means that there's some form, there's some materially Malachim. What does that mean? What are we talking about here? Are we talking about human beings that are messengers, or are we talking about angels? And like we mentioned before, Onkelos is not ambiguous. Onkelos makes it very clear that the previous verse, 2 verses before this, verse 2, it says Malachei Elokim, it says the angels of God, and there he says Malachaya the Hashem, the angels. There it's clear, it's talking about angels. But here, Onkelos translates Izdagin. Izdagin means human messengers. So either we can understand Malachim Mamish to be like if the word Malachaya means angels of God, so then that means literally angels, and that the word Malach means angel first and foremost, and only secondarily means human messengers. That's why it says Malachaya for Malachim, or that the term Malach to mean an angel, and even the word angel means messenger, angelos. So then it also, when you say Mamish, it could either mean literally angels because the main word for Malach means an angel, or it could be materially, actually human beings that you can touch and feel, and not spiritual beings that most of the time you cannot, although they can materialize certainly. And there are certain Malachim that called Ishim, means men. Even though usually the plural of Ish is Anoshim, but there are angels that are called Ishim, and some of my Rebbeim have said that those are physical beings. Maybe some kind of all angels are extraterrestrial. They're not from Earth. They come from someplace other than Earth, but do they maybe actually have a body and live on another planet physically, as well as having spiritual souls like we have? It seems from the Rambam that there is a species of angels that we would say has a physical body. So we could discuss whether do they live on another planet or not. I don't know. And then there are other beings, demons, which seem to have some biology to them, according to our sages. And those are also in some form extraterrestrial, not necessarily living on another planet, but not of this earth. You might want to call them extra-dimensional, both angels and demons. But they're very different types of beings, but somewhat similar. Sages say the demons have traits similar to the ministering angels and similar to human beings. And in any event, let's get back. We've gone almost 5 minutes on a tangent. Let's get to what the Maharal says on this. What does this mean, literally malachim, or actually malachim? Most people understand that it's actually angels. I haven't learned this yet. I'm assuming that's how the Maharal learns it, but I could be wrong. So let's see. So Vayishlach Rabbah. So Genesis Rabbah, the Medrash, says Rabbanan Aryeh malachim mamish. So from here, and we understand from the context of the machlokas, of the disagreement, that Rashi is quoting here, that when Rashi says malachim mamish, he means literally angels, because the rabbis say that it's literally angels, and not like those who say that it was human messengers. And so there we have the answer to the dichotomy here, to the ambiguity here of what does this mean, malachim mamish, is that Rashi is arguing against Unclus, who clearly understands this verse to be speaking of human messengers, and that's how most Bible commentaries translate it, is that Jacob sent messengers. I don't know if Art Scroll might say angels. Probably does, because they usually follow Rashi. But from here we have answered our question at the very least, that when Rashi is saying malachim mamish, he is quoting the Medrash, Chazal, Midrash, a homily, and that, and in which there are two opinions quoted, and from that context, now we know that Rashi is saying that they're literally angels. So we have to know, why do the rabbis have this opinion that disagrees with others, disagrees with Unclus, who was from the time of Chazal, and is generally understood to be rather authoritative, and is used liturgically, meaning in a certain sense the Targum Unclus is the authorized version of Chumash, of a translation. And so why are these rabbis arguing with a liturgically accepted translation? Right? Because in ancient times they would read the Targum in the synagogue, and I think in some of the Yemenite synagogues they still do that to this day. So I'm reading Olam V'Yordim. So I'm reading Olam V'Yordim. So the reason why the rabbis insist on disagreeing with Unclus and others who understand it to be flesh and blood is because it says the angels are going up and down. When Jacob left V'yetze Yaakov last week, there were the angels there. We know those are angels. And furthermore, in the previous verse, we know we're talking about angels going up and down again, because he's coming back to Eretz Yisrael. He's coming back to the Holy Land, and we discussed that already from the Basayin, explaining that. So, Olam Tchila, V'chakach Yordim, if they're going up and then going down, that doesn't seem to be very angelic, because you would think angels go down and then up. Malachim shilvu b'eretz hayu olam. So we know the answer, very famous answer, that the angels of the Holy Land were ascending. And then subsequently, we know from Rashi there in Genesis 28, that then the angels of outside the Holy Land were descending to accompany Jacob. So when you're at the border, you have those two camps, Mahanaim, I don't know how they say it. It's Mahanaim, two camps, and they were together because he was at the border. V'havu legam kein lalos tchilu shel chutz la'aretz v'achak le'ered shel Eretz Yisrael. So it should have been the same thing. The chutz la'aretz angels now should have gone back up to heaven. The ones outside the Holy Land and the Holy Land angels should have been coming down to earth to accompany Jacob. Terence Malachim Amish. So what does it mean literally angels? Perish the Khan Shiny. Here's different. The Hutzach Radayin like Hamalachim Shel Chutzlarts. This is connected to what we learned from the Basayim, that Jacob still needed the angels of outside the Holy Land. He needed to send those Chutzlarts angels, those outside the Holy Land angels, to his brother Esau. And so that's why we understand that we're literally angels. But the question is, why did the Eretz Yisrael angels come to meet him still in Chutz La'aretz? He wasn't in Eretz Yisrael yet. He wasn't even by the border yet. Why did the Holy Land angels come to Jacob when he wasn't there yet? With Teretz Malachim Mamish, the answer is they were literally angels. It was the Eretz Yisrael angels that took the angels, the Chutz La'aretz angels to Esau, to Esav. Because Esau was trying to stop Jacob from coming to the land that his father gave him. And so the Holy Land angels had to be there because of that agency of Esau, so they shouldn't be prevented from coming in. So the first explanation, that's difficult to understand. Why are they going up first and then coming down? Because God was standing on him, so it didn't matter if there were no angels. God was protecting him. But why here did the angels have to go up first? Meaning when he left Eretz Yisrael, God was on top of him. Here is God on top of him. Here you had both camps together because God was not, quote unquote, standing on top of him, whatever that means. And so therefore you needed two camps of angels to be protecting him. So why is it called two camps? Machnaim al shem shtei machnes, because it was two camps. Meaning, even though the angels were there, the Chutz La'aretz angels didn't leave yet. Because if they would have left already, then there wouldn't have been two camps. So that's why Jacob did the right thing, sending the angels. But in the Medrash, it doesn't seem like that. Seems like he didn't need to send the angels. He didn't know what was going on with Esau. Was his coming? Like the Medrash says there, you grab onto the dog's ear, you're getting in a fight that's not yours, that you don't need much. Why is he sending angels to Esau? So now I understand. This is how I understand what it means literally angels. They have the because it was, why is Jacob sending angels? Why does it says and Jacob sent angels? Why didn't and then he was afraid of his brother Esau? It should have said and Jacob was afraid of his brother Esau, and then he sent angels. Because afterwards it says he was worried. He saw this. He was worried, so he divided up the kids into different camps. Why did he divide his family up? Again, it should have said, and he was afraid of his brother Esau, and that's why he sent the angels. But when it says first he sent the angels, before he gave a reason, that's because we said above, because the previous verse said so this is the camp of God, the angels, and then he sent the angels. So therefore, sending the angels is connected to the previous verse. In Vayishlach because it's connected to that he saw the angels. So from the previous verse, that's how we understand that they were literally angels. I'd like to get more into this. Just Oid Amru, we're going to have to pause. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you later. Oh, how do I turn this off?